Hello and welcome to another episode of the Silk and Steel podcast. I am your host, Carl Zha. Today we have a very special episode. I am connected with Mr. Xiangyu, a regular guest on the podcast, who is now hailing all the way from Taiwan. He's there to serve his military service, or as you say, alternative service. Is that what you call it? Okay, maybe you can explain. So for our audience who are not aware, young males on Taiwan have to serve mandatory military service, but there's like different different ways to go about it. So maybe you can give us a rundown why you are in Taiwan right now, Mr. Xiangyu.
So ever since 1949, the draft was introduced, and all males between the ages of 18 and 36. Well, actually, they stopped drafting you the year after you turn 36. So let's say you're born in like 1980, you don't qualify for the draft anymore in the year, like, so 1980, so 2007, because 2006 is the year you turn 36. So 2007, January 1st, 2007 is the year you're no longer under the draft. And it used to be like 2 years, and I think it was 3 years for the Marines. But then over time, it gradually got reduced. And when I was younger, it was like a year and 10 months. And then gradually it became 1 year, and then it became 4 months, but then recently it got changed back to a year. But whenever they changed the length of the service, it's not just like for everyone. They do it like the way they do it is like, if you're born from before this year, then this is how much time you serve, and then if you're born between the years of this and this, it's now like whatever. So like I was born in 1993, and I think towards the end of Ma Ying-jeou's leadership, they changed it to 4 months for people born in 1994 and after. So you see what happened.
You're locked out. You won the lottery.
I'm locked out. I'm still have to do 1 year. And then recently, you might have heard in the news that Tsai Ing-wen changed it back to a year. But the law applies to people born in 2005 and after. I have a cousin born in 2005, and he's very unhappy.
So let me ask you a question. How do people get out of it? I mean, like, you didn't have to serve until now, right? Like, what change? Like, what? How do you defer or getting out of the service?
If you obtain permanent residency in another country before you're 16, then you do not have to serve if you stay in Taiwan for less than 183 days a year.
Okay, so I
qualify under that.
I know you hold an American passport. So how did you get dragged into doing the service?
I stayed in Taiwan from 2017 to 2019, and for a while this stuff wasn't really enforced, but I think they kind of got desperate. So last year in August, I got a notice saying I need to be back in Taiwan within 3 months, which is why I came back here in November. And then I come back in November, and then I go do my the physical examinations and stuff to ensure that I'm fit for service or whatever. And then I waited to get my notice to like report. And yeah, on March 14th, I went to Banqiao, which is I guess the seat of New Taipei City, where my household registration is, and went on the bus to Chenggongling. Chenggongling is the military base where alternative service. So I'm a substitute service. I'm not in the military. We do not have we're not legally soldiers, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But substitute service people still have to do 2 weeks of basic military training at that military service base. And it's we can get into the differences between substitute service and regular military, because there are quite a few differences, like with this basic training. Like, for example, if you're drafted into the actual military, you're allowed to smoke like on the military base. But for us substitute servicemen, you're not allowed to smoke at 成功岭.
So do you get to choose? You know, when you get the draft card, do you get to choose whether you prefer you do the actual military service or the alternative service?
That's a very good question. So, in my case, I had no choice. I think in 2017 or 2018, they just decided that everyone born before 1994 who still hasn't served yet is automatically just going to be in substitute service. But there are some ways. One way is like if you do the physical examination and you're not fit enough to do regular military, but you're not unfit enough to be exempt completely, then you're put in substitute. But if you're what is it, Tiga? Like if you're a category for like your like score, your results determine that you are fit for full military, actual military, you can apply to do substitute, and then it's a chance. Like they'll just draw your name out of the hat basically. There's also other criteria like religion. If your religion forbids you from like serving in the military or whatever, I'm not exactly sure like what religions qualify and what religious beliefs qualify and how they go about proving it. But I know that is one of the ways to automatically get put in substitute service. And another is, what is it? 家庭因素, how would you translate that? Like family situation?
Family factors.
Family factors. So like if you're and the family factor substitute service is a little bit special because not only are you in substitute service, after your basic training, you're allowed to go home every night, and they will make sure you are doing your service somewhere which is that is close to where you live, like to feasibly like get to and from every day from your residency where like where your household registration is.
That's the impression I got from you when the last time I talked. I thought you would be able to go home every night, but apparently not.
I thought I would be able to too, but because my parents have been out of Taiwan if you leave Taiwan for more than 2 years, your household registration gets frozen. So my parents' household registration is in a frozen state right now, so they don't count. So even though they're both over 60, I don't qualify anymore. But if one of them visits and they reactivate their household registration, then I can apply.
Oh, so if you have parents over 60 and you can claim that you are the primary caretaker of your parents who are over 60, you are allowed to go home every night.
Yeah, well, I'm an only child, so it's very easy for me to just like claim that. But let's say I have a sibling. Unless my sibling makes below a certain amount, it won't work. Or like, let's say I have a child who's, I believe, under 12. Or if I have a pregnant wife who's, I think, pregnant for, I think it's 6 months or more, then I can also apply for this 家庭因素, like the family factor thing. But yeah, as of now, I'm like just regular substitute service. And yeah,
sounds like that's an incentive for people to get knocked up or knock up their girlfriend.
And I mean, some ways that people get out of military service to like actually get out of it is they eat a lot and get very fat, or they start losing a lot of weight and get underweight. And there's also other ways. I mean, you can if you regularly, let's say like you really don't want to do a military service, but you're fine, like your mental health is fine, but if you keep on going to a psychiatrist, and your psychiatrist kind of, you can't say like you just want to get out of service, but you know there are ways to kind of insinuate that, and you know they want to keep patients, so you can pretend to be bipolar, and as long as you have records of going there regularly and getting having ongoing treatment, then you can get exempt. I mean, there are some legislators here who are suspected of doing that, but I can't say it because I don't have proof, and that would be slander. But people have their ideas and thoughts about it. So yeah, there are some differences between I mean, one of the biggest ones is we're not legally soldiers, and when we serve, we're not serving in military capacity. There are certain things like there's like social like 社会义, 消防义, 警察义. I'll translate all of this into English. There's I think 教育义. So like examples would be like you go work in a assistant role at a school like that's in a more rural area, or in one of the offshore islands, or you go like, or if you're in like social service, you go like take care of like retirees and like stuff like that. Or there's also people who go and work at household registration offices and or for city governments and just work in supporting roles. That's basically what we do. We work in supporting roles in different government or social organizations.
It sounds like what in U.S. called community service, right? Except you do it away from home.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that with a combination of being on parole from prison, because so I was in boot camp for 2 weeks, and it's fine. It's like whatever. But let's say so right now I work at the training center of the National Fire Agency. Let's say I go and beat up my boss or beat up like one of my superiors. They have the right to send me back to the military base, Chenggongling. And when they do that, it's from anywhere between 8 to 16 weeks. And those 8 and 16 weeks don't count as like part of your service. So like the timer stops and you go there, and it's not like boot camp anymore. It's you're under like 24-hour supervision, and they will work the shit out of you. It's basically gulag.
Wow. Okay. So maybe talk about your uniform, because I noticed your uniform is like not what you typically consider military uniform. Is that like a firefighter uniform?
Not firefighter, but the red one is for people who are doing their alternative service at the fire agency, whether it be the training center or HQ. They want to transfer me to the HQ later. They just want me to like learn the ropes at the training center. So yeah, right. I'm back home right now because it's the long weekend for the tomb sweeping holiday. But right now, for the next 2 months, during the weekdays, I'll be living in my dorm in Nantou, which is in central Taiwan, where the training center for the National Fire Agency is. And it's that fire training agency is that, yeah, the training center is the largest in Asia and third largest in the world. So maybe at some point, maybe we can do another episode, because right now I don't have much experience there. I've only been there for 3 days, whereas I have like 2 weeks at boot camp. So we can talk mostly about boot camp today, but maybe somewhere down the line we can do an episode on like what it's like working.
Are you allowed to film on site, or are you even allowed to have a cell phone?
Yeah, only we have time off. It's like 9 to 5. After 5, we're free to do whatever we want. I can go on your show and in my dorm room, no problem. But it's where we're not allowed to have a cell phone. Well, we are, but we aren't. Was boot camp, the 2 weeks. The first day they'll have you put your phone in a bag and you write your name on it and on the bag, and like the ID number you're assigned when you're in there, and you write like 总柜. So it's like it's basically like stuff that they put in the safe. Like each of us has like a little tiny, like it's kind of like one of those like smaller bank safes. And then during shower time, we're allowed to like sign a form and get it, because legally they have to let us contact our family once a day. So when we sign it, it's saying like it's proving that they're allowing us to do that. And in the past, what they did was give access to payphones, but in this modern era, they give us, our phones. But like as a formality, you're supposed to write like who you're contacting. So like on the form, you'll see like just the whole line of like fu, which is like father, or mu, which is like mother. But people are just like they're calling anyone they want, or they're just like scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And which is funny, because the way they punish us collectively when we piss off the or what is 分队长in English?
Squad leader? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's 分队长、区队长、中队长. Anyways, like the superiors, if we piss them off and they want to punish us collectively, they'll subtract our shower time. The bare minimum is 30 minutes, but it starts at like 50, and they can reward us with more. But my squadron had very many, how do you say, special characters. I guess you would call them kind of like hooligans.
That sounds like another word for thugs.
Yeah, no, it's funny because they will punish us in the individually. Like there's like a point system where you get points subtracted or added, and like the more points you get, it's more like you get like more days off. Like once you're sent off to wherever you're supposed to work, and then you can get points subtracted, and like it affects your score, and like where I think it affects where you can apply to serve like the remainder of your service. So like. Yeah, we have the collective punishment, which doesn't affect us, like, besides the shower time, but then, like, our individual scores. And every day on the bulletin board, they'll have, like, the, like, who got, like, points deducted or added. And I shit you not, on one day, there was, like, there was, like, the person's ID number, like 07 XXX, XXX is, like, their number, because 07 is, like, the 7th squadron, which is my squadron. And I shit you not, the reason was 在餐厅丢馒头, threw a steam bun at the cafeteria and got caught.
So for food fight, they got now are their names spelled out on these bulletin board? Would you know who was a transgressor?
No, here's the thing. If they actually wrote the names, we wouldn't know. Because, like, when you're in there, you don't really know. Like, I mean, you start knowing the names of the people that you get close with. But most other people, you just know them by numbers. Like, to me, like, the way I was known to most of the other people around was 116, like 116.
Ah, okay. So the boot camp then is actually held on an actual military base, right?
Yeah, but it's a separate section. So it's interesting because what is 中队长in English? Let me look it up. 中队长英文. Is it lieutenant or no, it's not lieutenant. It's squadron chief or whatever. At that level, he's an actual soldier. He's an actual military member. But then below him, like the 区队长, 分队长, there are other alternative service members, and like their alternative service is just to like stay on that military base and handle like the new alternative service, substitute service people who go in. And yeah, we're separate from them. We have different rules. We have different uniforms. The uniform looks very similar to this, but over there it's khaki. And instead of like these customized name tags with our names and like our like positions on them, it's just like a number. And like on the second day, one of our first tasks is to sew our name tags onto our uniforms, like our number tags onto our uniforms. So it's very obvious because our uniform is like that and then a white undershirt. Whereas military, I wasn't supposed to get this, but I did anyways because, yeah. Because it's right to rebel. This is the undershirt that the army draftees wear. And they have their uniforms over this, but a lot of times when they're not on duty, you'll see them walking around wearing this.
So where did you get that? You bought it on AliExpress or something?
No, I got it on the military base because on the first day we had to go buy some stuff that we might need. And they put all of our stuff together. Like they're just saying, okay, you're not military, you're not supposed to buy that stuff. So then I'm like, okay, but they want to make money, so my money is green. Or actually, it's the $100 bills over here are red, just like on the mainland. Yeah, my Sun Yat-sens are as red as everyone else's, so they accept it. I got it.
And we are re-recording this segment because as our last recording finished, Xiangyu finally surfaced with more funny stories. So I felt like we have to capture this in video. And you know, because we had to cover a lot of information, so some of the more fun aspects of serving the selective service or alternative service in Taiwan got left out. So, but let's put that back in because this is a good stuff. So, Xiangyu, please tell us how you impersonated a Taiwanese military personnel on the Taiwanese military base.
It wasn't like on the military side of it. It was in our barracks. So it was still in the alternative service area. But sometimes like military people come here because, I mean, there is some interaction because we are getting basic military discipline. And I mentioned earlier how we have different uniforms. And this, what I'm wearing now, this digital camouflage undershirt is worn underneath their uniforms. And when they're not on duty, like a lot of times they'll just like walk around in this and still have the hat. And we're not supposed to get these hats, but then as a reward for carrying the 65K2s like for 4 days, like many kilometers, like marching back and forth between our side of the base and their side of the base and going through all of the bullshit bureaucracy, they let us go back to the store to buy drinks, not alcoholic drinks, but like sodas and stuff that we weren't able to drink during the rest of our training. And right next to it is like the store where they sell like these sorts of goods for the army. And so I went in and I was like, I kind of want to get a hat and also a shirt as a souvenir of like having been at this base before. So I did, zero problems. And then the next day during our afternoon break, I was bored. So I just put it on during, when we were back in our barracks. And then I noticed when I didn't take it off when I went to go pee. And on my way to the bathroom, there were like two people who saw me, stood up straight, and said, 学长好. 学长, I guess it's like
the American audience who grew up on this steady diet of anime would know this as senpai.
Yeah, basically. Oh, I'm dressed in this uniform while drinking from my Mao cup.
Nice. You know what I want to see? I want to see your appearance appearing on the Chinese state television CGTN wearing your Taiwanese military uniform with the insignia.
No, I think that might actually get me in trouble. But this, I'm just like kind of reenacting the story. So I noticed, I was like, shit, people recognize this. Like they see the uniform and they don't see me. Well, I guess the mask mandate is still in force, like on the military base. So like they saw my eyes, and our squadron was pretty big, like 160 people. So not everyone actually knows everyone. So they said that to me. So I was like, oh shit, I get to fuck around now. So I'm like, so I just walk around. After I pee, I go find my friends who were just chilling there. I put my mask on, I just walk up, stern face. Okay, I'm like, I get back into character. I'm gonna stand away from the microphone so it doesn't clip. 你们过得很爽是不是？因为这里是你家哦，这样学长不用叫人吗？ Like they were all like, oh shit, like 学长好, and then like they looked at my eyes more closely and they were like, God damn it, fuck you.
That's pretty good, you know. You had me convinced for a fraction of a second. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good mannerism and intonation.
Because we had this one 学长, he's also alternative service. He tried to get into like 干部, so like become like a squad leader, but I guess because of health reasons he didn't pass. So I guess he's a bit salty about that. So even though he's not at that position, he kind of acts that way. And then like when he yells at us that way. And it's really funny because the way he walked around was like this. He look around like this. And when he gets mad, his hands shake. And he was like, he'd be like, I just kind of had him in mind. And yeah. So that's why that's the use I got out of this cosplay outfit, I guess you could call it.
So I noticed you use the term 干部 or cadre to describe the military officers. I'm actually surprised that they use that term in Taiwan because, I always, growing up on mainland China, I thought that was exclusively, mainland Chinese term. 干部 means cadre, cadre in the communist party, the cadre in the communist dominated government. So I'm actually surprised to learn that ganbu is also a term that was widely in use in Taiwan itself.
But you shouldn't be surprised because the PLA and the ROCA share common roots. The Huangpu Military Academy.
Yeah, that's true. They all have the common origin from the Wangpan Military Academy. But you were telling me something about the toilet that was reserved for military cadres in Taiwan.
There's two stories in our building in the barracks. I was on the second floor. Now there's two sides. We're only allowed to use the bathrooms on the side that's like on the right if you leave the barracks. The one on the left is reserved for the cadres. So I've never been in. I don't know what it looks like. But even in our bathrooms, there's like 2 stalls reserved for cadre. I guess I don't know, just in, they get their own cadre. They get their own like toilets, and they're the sit-down toilets. All of our toilets are the squat toilets. And some people have bad aim is all I can say about the squat toilets. And I'm not talking about aim with peeing, because peeing happens in the urinals. I'm talking about, it's kind of nasty. But anyways, the stalls reserved for the cadre, I guess they were too lazy to write ganbu completely. So they just wrote like gan, like on a piece of paper stuck to the door.
So for our non-Chinese speaking audience, now we have to explain what is gan.
Okay, long story. In Hokkien or Minanhua, like the local dialect here in Taiwan, like to fuck is gan, and like if it's like in the first if it's precedes other words, characters in a phrase, then its tone becomes gan. So like fuck your mother is garinya, and then I guess that got shortened to gan. And because it sounds like in Mandarin like gan means like to do, I guess like it kind of got adapted and it kind of got absorbed into Mandarin, and it's even used somewhat on the mainland today. I guess it's because of
not somewhat. I mean, it's widely understood. If you say gan, we all know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's understood, but like you go to Hebei, like people will usually like default to like cao, like they won't say like gan, but they'll understand it. But it's like in Taiwan over here, it's like let's say you're drinking coffee, like really hot coffee, and you spill it on yourself, like your default expletive might be like something like that, you know? So yeah, it's funny because like it's just written like gan. So like
and a bathroom stall of all places.
Yeah, think of a bathroom stall that just says fuck on the door. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I think that completes this segment of our thing, and with some editing magic, I'm going to be changing back into my alternative service uniform and not this.
How many people are serving with you right now?
It's hard to say because my squadron, like 七中队, had a little over 160 people.
Oh wow. Okay.
But when you talk about the number of 替代役, like I don't know how many there are right now. I could look it up, but it's not off the top of my head. And then at the training center, there's probably like, it's in the teens. I work directly with like
Would you say there's more people in the actual military service than the alternative service?
Yeah. We make up like less than 10%.
Oh, okay. Are there any kind of bowling, or is any widespread bowling activity on base?
I didn't see any except for one, but that happened because this one kid was suspected of snitching on these people who were smoking in secret. He because we're supposed to wear our hats when we're outdoors, and then when we take them off indoors. Well, these kids like threw that person's hat, the suspected snitch's hat, into like the sewage drain.
Okay. So let's say you put on your military uniform. Now, do you get in trouble? Like, is there any kind of regulations that you cannot masquerading as a soldier?
I mean, it depends. If I walk out like of my like the barracks and like I encounter like actual military people, they'll be like, "Who are you and why aren't you like doing what you're supposed to do?" That'll be the type of trouble. Whereas like in the barracks, it's like they'll probably just be like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like, just stop fucking around." I mean, I guess they could get us into more trouble, but realistically, that's what they'll do.
But what if you wear it outside the barracks?
I only wore it in the barracks area. Like, I didn't like go to other. Well, see, like you had to stick with your people all the time. If I wouldn't get to that level because let's say I put this on and we're gonna like go to we have many lectures to attend, and let's say we're about to go to like one of the lecture halls. Even before we leave our barracks, like we have like this little like lot area in front of our barracks where we like start marching and whatever. They would like, if I'm not dressed in the same uniform as everyone else, they'll just be like, I would get in trouble, and they would probably get rid of shower time and like, deduct points from my score or whatever. So it wouldn't get to that level. But
so how long do you have to spend in the boot camp in the military base?
It was like roughly 2 weeks. It was like including the day that we left, the morning we left, it was 16 days.
Like once after the initial training period, are you just like you're just sent out of the military base and you just never come back, or you still have to regularly report to the military base?
You don't go back. You don't go back unless you get the gulag, like I said. Like if let's say I skip work 3 days in a row, then I would get sent back for 8 to 16 weeks. And I don't want that. Oh, another thing, like in my thing in the training center, they're like, one thing to very be careful about is don't, like, in the dorm buildings, there are certain floors that are like for female trainees. They're like, if you accidentally get to one of the floors in the elevator, do not leave the elevator, because once you cross the threshold, you're automatically sent back to Tongongling. They're like, that's a teleportation hub, basically. If you really miss Tongongling, just go to that floor and just cross the threshold. And military police will send you back right away.
Wait, so okay, the military service is not mandatory for women, right?
It's not. No, but see, I'm working at the National Fire Agency Training Center, so it's like female firefighters, like who are being trained.
Okay, so no gender mixing, no.
Oh, there is, but not in like living quarters. Yeah, like I mean, like I guess like women are allowed into like the males, like the male floors, but not vice versa. It's for their protection.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so how many people do you share a dorm room with?
Oh, so my dorm room can fit up to 4 people, but I only have 1.5 roommates, and I say half because one of them lives like right next to that training center, and he qualifies for like the family factor thing, so he goes home at 5 every day, but he still has that room. So like when we have like our break time, like in the afternoon, he has a place, he has a desk, he has a bed, he can like take a nap on and whatever. But realistically, I only have 1 roommate right now.
Right now, are you finished with your training right now? Are you done with the training phase?
The training for the fire stuff.
Okay, so right now you have graduated from the military base. Now you are working at a fire station, and you will stick with that fire station for the entirety of your alternative service, or you will be sent elsewhere?
Right now, they want to send me to the National Fire Agency's headquarters in Taipei. But before they do that, they want me to work two months at the training center. It's because like they have a lot of tasks there that the workload is a little bit less, and they want me to know everything. And it's more realistic for me to learn how to do everything over there than in headquarters in Taipei. And because it's the training center where new firemen are like trained, and we also get a lot of like foreign like guests, like fire like agencies from abroad who come here. Because I mean, we are the largest in Asia and the 3rd largest in the world. Like they'll need a translator, so they want me to, because they know I'm bilingual, so they want me to work as a translator over there. And whenever foreigners come and I translate, every hour, like my entire day is like I get all those hours, but every hour also counts as what is it, like jaban, like after, what is it?
After hours. So do you get do you get a bonus? Do you get bonus pay for like working after hours?
You don't get bonus pay, you get bonus days off.
Nice.
And if I stack enough of them, like my service ends on March 13th of next year. But if I stack up enough of them, I could leave before them. But then they have a policy, which is like, if you have a lot of these days, like, and you try to stack them all up, let's say I have 30 of them, and I just blow them all at once, I still have to go and like report to work once every 10 days. But I can just go in, card in, card out.
So I understand you said most people are just there to, because it's something they have to do. But does the training for the alternative service actually prepare you for, other walks of life once you leave it? Like do they actually give you usable skills, usable work skills, leave you better than you first started?
I think it's good for discipline and maintaining a routine and like time management, because like over there, like being early means being on time means you're late, and being late means you're fucked, or you get yelled at. So yeah. Other than that, I think just learning to get along with other people and working with them and just having each other's backs. Because like I told you about how like sometimes they collectively punish us, even though like that one guy threw the bun, even though like I had nothing to do with it, but I still got my shower time reduced. The point of that is like to make sure we to encourage us to like, you know, have each other's backs. One thing that they do to us is during lunch, like when we're in the mess hall and we eat, we're supposed to push our our seats under the table when we get up to you know, get more like soup or whatever. If you don't push it back in, what they'll make you do is take your stool, go to the front of the mess hall, lift it above your head, and say 板凳对不起，板凳对不起，板凳对不起，板凳对不起 like 10 times. And so then what eventually we do is like if like the person sitting next to us doesn't push it in, we'll just push it in for them to avoid that embarrassment for them. And then when the times I've gotten up without pushing my stool in, like they've helped me out too. So I've never had to lift my stool up and say sorry bench, sorry bench, sorry bench.
So
10 times.
Wait, so if one person makes trouble and get all of you into collective punishment, now do you all just like beat up on that person?
Not really. A lot of times that doesn't happen when like it's just one person. It's more like if there's like 10 people fucking around. So like in the case of the steam bun, the food fight person, it was like basically 10 people being disorderly, and then that one person also got like a point deducted because he got caught throwing a bun by one of the superiors. Got
it. Okay, so no horsing around on the military base.
There is, but you have to be smart with it. The way I was smart with it because whenever we had to do like team activity, like group activities, like clean or like lift things or whatever, I would like just step up and do like a lot of the harder work. So then like knowing that like, you know, if I fuck around, like they'll probably be a little bit more lenient on me and the other people I'm around.
Now, is there a conversion from alternative service to actual military service? Let's say there's like a national emergency or something. Is that supposed to happen?
Well, I mean, if there's an emergency, like in in Ukraine, like even 60 people up to 60 are being drafted. So who knows? But there is no like formal like conversion like thing. Like you don't. Once you're in alternative service, you're not a regular soldier.
Okay. Well, my earlier question about the usable skills. So, like for example, right now you are training at for firefighting. Like, if people want to go on to become a firefighter, does their training at the alternative service actually help them? Do you actually gain?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So I mean, like,
well, I mean, I haven't seen it yet because I just got to the fire agency, so I've only been there for like 3 days. So I think we can do another episode on that because that's going to be totally different from boot camp. Like today, we can just talk about all of the stories and the shenanigans and stuff that happened at boot camp, which got quite a bit of funny stories.
That's fair.
Yeah, there's like the whole 板凳对不起, and it's a lot of like it builds up your bullshit tolerance because like you go in. And then you're like to the mess hall, you're supposed to stand at your seat, but you're not supposed to pull it out or put down your stuff until you're ordered to. So like the your squad leader or like 学长 like or whoever who takes you in will say like, I'm gonna step away from the microphone so that it doesn't clip. So then like you're supposed to this has a strap, but I took it off, but you're supposed to like tie it up, put it on your table. And then you're supposed to keep your hand on it until he says, okay, like, how? Then you lift it. And then they'll be like, 靠板凳. It's like, so, and you're supposed to, put your hands on the stool, but you're supposed to stay in this position until he says like, okay, 好. And then you have to wait for him to say, 就位. That's when you like step in front of your stool. And then when he says 好, that's no, he doesn't say 好. He says 坐下. That's sit down. That's when you sit down. And so the first few days, a lot of times when they say things like 置物, like place your objects, you put it down and you lift it right away, and then you get yelled at. So then like by like the third day, what happens is like there's this, but then like when other people are about to lift their hands, you just like intervene. You're just like, no, don't. Yeah, it's kind of
okay. So a little bit team building, a little bit of discipline, following orders.
Well, a lot of discipline, it's a lot of bullshit. I mean, they know it's bullshit. And there's also I mean, we're not military. We don't get like worked out as much. I mean, we do have like our like exercises and stuff, but we don't have like these drills where like we like, you know, like go through obstacle courses and stuff. The army does, but we still have to like learn how to like properly like get into formation and like turn and like march like and whatever. And there's also that thing where it's, I don't know how to say these things in English, but then it's like when you stand like in a line in front of your squad leader or like squadron leader or whatever, and they're like whoever, like you're supposed to like, he's saying like 第几员为中央武. It's like 中央武 supposed to like stand right in front of the squad leader. So then like you start like reporting your numbers. So like, let's say I'm like the first one. I'm supposed to go, hey! And then the other person's supposed to go, so let's say I'm 中央武. So like the person that's supposed to be right in front of him is like 8, ba, right? A lot of this happened a lot. Hey! And the next person, and then to ba, right? Ba! It's supposed to stop there. But the person next to him, like, just forgets and it'll go, Jo! So he fucks up the whole thing. So then, what is it that the squad leader says? 各员先观察力重报. Did you understand that?
You have to start over again, right? So everyone.
Yeah, but you probably didn't catch every single word that I said.
I just heard 重报.
Yeah, he says 各员要依次连贯传递重报. I didn't know until the very last day when I asked our 分队长, I'm like, yeah, so what is it that you're actually saying? Because I just hear like I hear 连贯, and I hear 重报. Other stuff I don't really hear. And like a lot of times, like the first few days, it's like I don't even like know like half of what he's saying because that's how he gave orders. Like he would be like 看电视第8员为中央武，中央武对中我，向中看齐. And so then when he says 向中看齐, like let's say the 8th person, like if you're to his left, you're supposed to look this way. If you're to his right, you're supposed to look this way. And then you're supposed to like do
I
this.
understood, by the way.
Yeah, you're supposed to like do this so like your like distance is like equal, and then like the right person is there, and then he'll be like, and then what do you say? And then once you're like ready, like in the right place, you'll be like, 向前看. Did you get that?
Look forward.
Yeah, 向前看. 排头为准，向右看齐。排头为准，向右看齐. And then so then you're supposed to look.
I heard 向左看齐, looking to the left. So
向右看，向右看. So yeah, and then you're supposed to like, so then you're all aligned, and then once you're done, he'll be like 向前看. So you look forward. So like we're not military, but we still have to do all that stuff.
The big question for me: is it fun? Do you find it fun?
It's fun after the fact. Like during, it's like it's a lot of bullshit. And then like marching, like when we like walk to places we're supposed. I mean, this is how I knew like nobody was taking us seriously, because we're supposed to like march like, you know, left right, like on the right foot, but only a few times was that actually enforced. Most of the times it's not enforced, and then every now and then they'll just like yell at us, being like, oh, like 都来第几天了还不会踏步.
So, among the people that serve with you, are most of them doing the 4-month, or are they doing the 1 year?
Okay, so it's interesting. If your physical examination qualifies you for regular service, but you apply for substitute and you're 4 months, you're supposed to do 6. Now, for me, it's like 1 year either way. But then if you're like the family factor thing, it's 4 months. So most of them were like 6 months and like 4 months. There were only like, in my squadron, there were only like 4 people who were doing a year.
Okay, wow. So the people that you started with, they will be, most of them will be gone like halfway or even before halfway through your service?
Yeah, so I'm just like, when like they were complaining about having to do their service, I'm like, okay, first off, you're not in the military. Second, like your job's easy, and you're only doing 4 months. Like,
It's like a summer boot camp.
it's funny. It's funny because it basically is like summer camp. I think of it as like disciplinary summer camp for juvenile delinquents.
But mandatory for everyone.
Yeah, but it's funny because the first day we got off the bus, our squad leader came and he was like, I'll translate this afterwards. 这里是成功岭，不是夏令营。你们是来当兵，不是来玩的。在这里要注意你们的礼貌。Like,
Wait, in the exact same tone of voice?
yeah, it's basically how he talked. Oh, it's funny because I ended up adding our squad leader on Instagram because I found it, and like I posted an Instagram story of me like imitating him. And he actually responded. He was like that's actually pretty good. Yeah, he's this like 20-year-old kid, and he's a good kid. But his role just means he has to. So a lot of these people, like he's also alternative service because he's not like at the level where you're supposed to be military. He's on a lower level of authority, but people are incentivized to like become those roles because like our pay is very low. It's like we have like roughly a little bit north of a $100 stipend for food and transport, and then on top of that, our like actual pay is like about a little bit north of $200 a month.
But wait, for food, but they provide you food on base, right?
At the military base they do, but like once we're out and serving in our positions, they don't provide it because we're not military. You have to remember, so that's why we get the food and transport subsidy, and so it's very meager pay. But if you apply to like become ganbu, like so you're still alternative service member, but you have a higher role and you have to manage other people, then your pay doubles. And then if you get to a higher position, the position after that, which is the highest you can get as an alternative service member, it doubles again. So
you're conditioned to climb that ladder.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's 20, so he didn't go to college. He's fresh out of high school. He maybe not like, yeah, he didn't go to college. He's out of high school. So, and he helps out at his parents' business selling flowers for funerals. So yeah, he's a hardworking kid, like good kid, and he's like, you can actually tell he's one of those like 就是很乖的小孩啦. So it's actually out of his character to be yelling at us, but I think his service ends next month actually, so he's really excited about that.
Oh, so he's one of those 4-month people.
No, I think he's 6 months.
6-month people. Okay.
But it's interesting because the reason why substitute service was introduced is because out of consideration for those who are against being in the military, because holding guns and like it's conditioning for killing and stuff, and it might be against their morals or their religion, which is why they do alternative service. But my how do you say 梯次 in English? 梯次, like I'm like the wave, I guess. Okay, so I'm the I guess class. I'm the 242nd class of this alternative service. There's like one class like every month, except for the month where Chinese New Year is. Mine is the first one, and like so alternative service was introduced in 2000 on May 1st of 2000, shortly after Chen Shui-bian was elected. And yeah, so before this, we didn't get training with actual weapons. The most we would do is do like a virtual training, which is like you have like a model gun that's like connected to like this gas thing, so it simulates recoil, and it's basically like a video game. But I guess because of heightening the situation with the mainland nowadays, they decided it's still voluntary, that we're not forced to do it, but we're allowed to sign up to go like shoot guns Well, I thought it would be fun because shooting guns is fun, but then what it ended up being was like 2 days of sitting there learning about gun safety and like whatever, and then like being allowed to shoot 9 rounds. And it's really stupid because all alternative service like groups, all the squadrons had people participating in shooting, but you know which squadron was responsible for borrowing and returning the guns? Because we're not military, so we had to like march like 2 kilometers to like the where the weapons were stored at the military, and we had to wait there because there's a lot of paperwork because we're not military, so we had to borrow the guns, and then they had to send their people to like accompany us back to our area of the boot camp and whatever. And at the end of the day, we had to like march again, holding like with our guns back, whatever. Yeah, my squadron was responsible for that, but we all got a lot of points added for doing that though. 4 days. Yeah, we had to do that for 4 days. So, like even the days we didn't shoot, we had to like go borrow the guns so then we could like familiarize ourselves with it. It's the 65K2, which is a gun from 1976. 65 is the 65th year of the Republic, which is 1976. So yes, from the Cold War. I guess Chiang Kai-shek never held one because he died in 1975. But it's kind of similar to an M16, but they're old and like a lot of times the bullets kept on getting stuck. It sucked. And yeah, the 65K2 sucks. They got the standard issue rifle in the military now in Taiwan is the T-Goyao, the T91, which came out in 2002, so the 91st year of the Republic. Yeah, so the 65K2 is like the predecessor of that. Yeah, so there was that. And the media came because it was a big deal that substitute service members were like getting gun training, even though substitute service was introduced because out of respect for people who don't want to hold guns. So I think this is a government kind of admitting that substitute service is just where a lot of people go when they want to bitch out of normal military service, which is true.
But you said that's only 10% of the people who actually go through the overall military service, right? Only 10%.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of them are people who like, yeah, I mean, if people can get it, they try. I mean, not everyone who is in T-Dai, like, I mean, there's more people who apply for it than who get in. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are trying to get in, so they don't have to do the regular military service because it's it's a lot harder, it's more rigorous, and their bathrooms are a lot dirtier. There's stories of people who go to the military and like don't shit for like 10 days and then have to get hospitalized because it's that dirty.
Wow. Okay. There's only one instances in my entire life where I can't go to the bathroom because it was so dirty. It was but yeah, wow.
Yeah, so there's that. And I guess you want to hear some funny stories.
Sure, yeah. Always up for funny stories.
Fifth Squadron. So our mess halls, we get our food delivered by a company called Kadoria, which let's say like there's like 5 different things that were served. They're like in these like really big like pots, right? They come in a truck. And then the dafanban, so like the people who are like responsible for the food and like each squadron go like they get called to go to the mess hall to prepare like half an hour earlier to like get everything straight or whatever. Anyways, in the 5th squadron, I'm in the 7th squadron. In the 5th squadron, there are these people because we're not. Keep in mind, alternative service members aren't allowed to smoke during the 2 weeks of basic training. These kids had the idea of working out a deal with one of the food truck drivers to bring in a whole carton of cigarettes, and the way they did it was basically like let the driver overcharge for the cigarettes. Of course, that's easy money. It's like free money to be made. So yeah, and which it was all fine and dandy, but then they got caught smoking. So the thing is, like, the higher ups know that there's going to be some kids who are smoking in secret anyways, but basically don't be stupid about it. They got, I mean, in my squadron, there were people who went and smoked. Like, some of them like multiple times a day, like to the point where they weren't even trying to hide it anymore. But there are people who have like certain types of tattoo with a certain reputation that kind of, and like some of the people in charge were kind of intimidated by them, which is why it was kind of allowed, but still not allowed, because they still like, they got ratted out by somebody. So then they still had to go through the formalities of like, you know, investigating. And then the conclusion was, yeah, we couldn't find any of the cigarettes. But I mean, there's security camera footage, but I guess they were too lazy to go through that. And I would have been fucked because I don't smoke usually. I sometimes like will have a cigarette or two. But one night I couldn't sleep, so I go downstairs to like go to the bathroom, and I see these like some of those kids like, you know, just chilling out there. They like to just sit outside and just chill. And one of them told me, "Hey, does 130 live upstairs with you?" I was like, "Yeah, he's right across from me." He's like, "Go tell him to bring his cough drops down. He'll know what we mean." I'm like, "Okay." So I go up. What the fuck? Hey, 兄弟，那个打翻麦的叫你下去，叫你带着喉糖下去。He was like, "Oh, whatever, okay." So then 5 minutes later, I'm at this point I'm curious. I mean, I kind of have an idea of what's going on. He shows up with cigarettes, and he asked me if I want to go with them. So I'm like, sure, okay, this is kind of fun. Like, you get the thrill of doing bad things. So yeah, we went, but like we didn't get caught, and like there wasn't like a huge like shakedown in our squadron like in the other one where they got caught, and then one of them like was like stupid enough to admit to like the higher ups that how they got the cigarettes. So the way the people in my squadron got the cigarettes were because like they take away, like if you have cigarettes on you, they take it away on day one. And they will inspect your stuff pretty thoroughly, like in the first 2 days. So like it's not, unless you keep it in your pocket at all times, like they'll find it. But a lot of people don't know these like tricks until like the third or fourth day after they learn the ropes. So the way that the people in my squadron got the cigarettes was, so you're allowed to go to the clinic if you're feeling uncomfortable. And yeah, most of the people, in my squadron at least, who went to the clinic each day, there's nothing wrong with them. They just want to get out of doing the work, and they go with their friends. So they all like say like, "Oh, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that." And then like if it's something that the clinic can't take care of, they'll transfer you to the military hospital in Taiwan, in the city center, which is like a 40-minute bus ride. And then once you're there, you get like 2 to 3 hours to like go see whoever you need to see. And we are accompanied by like the people who supervise us, but it's a pretty big hospital. They can't like monitor us at all times. So some of them will sneak out and walk across the street to the convenience store, buy cigarettes, and then go back. And that's how I got back in. So yeah, I went. So like the last 2 days of basic training, it's like bullshit because you already know your results, you know your exam scores, you know where you're gonna go, but you still have to attend lectures and stuff, and it's just like, why? So then I was just like, okay, yeah, my eyes feel dry. So I went to the clinic, and I just thought I just wanted to skip class one day. So I went to the clinic one day and I talked to the doctor, and he was like, yeah, the eye drops we have here are antibacterial, and I don't suggest using antibacterials for your condition because it kills beneficial bacteria. So you should go to the hospital tomorrow and get the right kind of eye drops, which I did, should be over here. And my eyes do get kind of dry sometimes, but I mean, I admit I was just trying to like be lazy. So I go to the hospital the next day. That's also where people buy drinks from the vending machine in secret, because when we're going through basic training, we're not allowed to like eat other foods. We're not allowed to buy things from the vending machine. But some of the hooligans in my squadron, because they're the xuezang, so like the other alternative service members who like stay at the base to like kind of help out like the squad leaders and all that, they're kind of intimidated by them. So they'll buy drinks for them, and then they'll put it into these thermoses for them, like our standard issue thermoses, and then they'll help take care of the trash to leave no evidence. So it's kind of like a very watered down version of prison if you think about the dynamics, like between like the prison guards and the prisoners.
I mean, that's what I think. I kind of think that's kind of what military is, right?
Yeah. So yeah, there's that, but it's kind of funny because one way you can get outside food or drink is if somebody in the actual army knows you and visits you. Now you can't get visitors outside during basic training because like it's only like 2 weeks. You can't waste time. But over there on a military base, the Army is in a higher position than alternative service members. So whatever they say goes. Now, unknown to me, one of my aunts has a family friend who's in the military, and she sent him to go check on me one day, which really caught me by surprise. Like I was in the barracks, and they told and they announced me like 116 go downstairs to the anguan, like the it's like the security desk. So I was like, shit, what did I? Because I mean, I scoot around every day. Like, there's something I could feasibly like get yelled at for every day. So I was like, okay, man, what did I get caught for? So I go downstairs, and then like our zongdoizang, which I don't know how to say it, but he's like above the squad leader. He's the squadron, the head of the squadron. So the head of the squadron is actual military. He's like, yeah, somebody you know's here to visit you. So I was like, who do I know? So then, yeah. My aunt's family friend comes and he was like, yeah, you probably don't know me, but yeah, just sure your aunt's just told me to come here and check up on you and make sure you're okay because you know, she just wants to make sure that everything's fine, and I have this treat for you. Just gave me this boba, and I hadn't had caffeine in like over 10 days. So I had low tolerance, and this was like 8 p.m. So I couldn't sleep that night. That's why I ended up going to smoke that cigarette with those people, because like I was just getting up every few hours, and like I was studying, like, so then I couldn't sleep, so I just studied like the practice test questions for like the exam that we have at the end. So like our exam's like multiple parts. One of the exams is like during the beginning of basic training, when we had to take EMT classes and get EMT certification. That's the first test. The second one is like a bunch of like just understanding the laws like pertaining to like alternative service, and like, you know, if you die during service, who is the beneficiary, and like if you get hurt, who was like those types of laws, and like what happens if you skip work for 3 days and without excuse. Memorize those questions. So I did pretty well on that exam, I guess, because I couldn't fall asleep that night and I had nothing better to do but study. Other is like the physical. Usually it's running 3 kilometers under a certain amount of time. But for some reason, so the mask mandate has been lifted in Taiwan almost completely, indoors, outdoors, with the exception of public transportation. But on the military base, it's still enforced for some reason. And because we're all wearing masks, I guess running for like 3 kilometers is not as feasible. I think the actual military still has to do it, but we don't, because I guess all substitute servicemen are supposed to be pussies or something. So they replaced the physical examination part with them push-ups. It's like 45 is 100%, 30 is 80%, 15 is bare minimum passing.
So right now you basically just finished basic training, and then you are just starting the next phase, which is like the firefighter training, right?
Yes. So this is my I had to cross out my ID number, but this is my certification saying I graduated from that. It says 12 hours because there's like 12 hours of like bullshit classes that we had to attend. I don't even know what those classes are about, because I was either like reading. You can't bring books, but you can bring printed materials like that you print like on like A4 sheets of paper. So I just printed a lot of articles that I wanted to read. I was either doing that or sleeping. Oh, it's like, it says on the back like what the classes are. Yeah, so a bunch of bullshit.
How long is the basic training for everyone? The total length?
Oh, 2 weeks.
2 months? 2 weeks?
No, it's 2 weeks. Like the military-based basic training is 2 weeks, and then like and then once you get like assigned to like wherever you're supposed to serve, like the rest of your alternative service, that could range anywhere from like 3 days to like a few weeks. And then there's another type of alternative service I forgot to mention. It's called 研发替代役, so like R&D alternative service. So like if you have a master's or PhD in a relevant field, then you get to apply for this, and you're paid like actually a lot. And a lot of people do this because it guarantees them like good jobs. I think most of them end up at TSMC. But then if you do that, if you're born after 1994, then then your term is a year and a half. If you're born before 1994, then your term is 3 years. So that's the trade-off. You get it's a longer term, but the pay is actually decent, and you get work experience at like TSMC.
Oh wow. Okay, but
I think they're phasing that out.
But the criteria is you have like some master or PhD, some higher degree.
Also in a relevant field. So like, let's say your PhD is in, I don't know, like literature. You can't do it.
Sure.
Yeah, which makes sense. But yeah. And apparently those people are the squad leaders say like those are the easiest ones to lead because they're a little bit more obedient and they cause less trouble. Because I mean they're let's face it, a lot of them are like just more nerdy types.
Yeah,
like mine.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean mine. It's interesting. I think it's worth going to because you meet people from all sorts of walks of life. Oh, I think I need to tell you some things that I overheard on the military base.
Okay, go ahead.
And some thoughts that I have. One of the things before that, first day I go, because it's still like pandemic mode over there. So like in the mess halls, they have like these like barriers like for everyone. And there's a lot of like graffiti and permanent marker on all of them. One of the ones I saw like very first day was 起来不愿做奴隶的人们. One was just written in simplified characters. So you could tell how unseriously people take this. I mean, I doubt the person who wrote that is actually like loyal to Beijing. I don't know, who knows, maybe. But they wrote that to troll. It's like kind of just like fuck this. One day I went to go pee, and I heard one of the guys tell the other ones saying that if we're in war and I find out that the PLA serves better food than we do over here, then I'm jumping ship. And I think this might, it's like, I mean, if it says anything, like it doesn't mean that these people are just like, you know, hardcore like Umao or anything. They're probably not, but it just says that most people just want to live normal lives and live stable lives. And the last thing they want is war. I mean, they're already making these sorts of like comments in passing, and like Western media would have you think that like everyone here is like ready for like war and wants to like go like kick like communist ass or whatever. But this is the attitude. The attitude is like, yeah, we're gonna get fucked if anything happens. So what are some escape plans? What are some ways to survive this? And which really got me thinking when I was over there. I was like, wow, over here you have the draft. Draftees do 4 months to a year, right? And they're not serving because they're loyal to the regime here. I mean, some of them might be, but they're doing it mainly because they have to. And then you have the professional soldiers. So you know, on the mainland, if you apply to join the PLA, you serve 3 years, right? Over here, if you sign up to serve, it's 4 years. Now, to my understanding, most people would just apply for that because it's hard to find good paying jobs nowadays, and like serving in the military is easier than being a construction worker.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you think about it, the PLA, you apply, you might not even get in because the line is that long. There's so much demand for people to join the PLA. And of course, a lot of them do it for, economic, financial stability and all of that. But a lot of them also do it out of like, duty for their country. And I know a lot of them are probably like, shit, I can't find a job. I don't know what I want to do, but I love my country. I want to serve. That's a very different attitude than being like, shit, I can't find a job. I need to eat. I'm whatever about like the politics. I just yeah, I want to just sign up, survive the 4 years, and hope war doesn't break out. It's a very different attitude.
Yeah, I think that's something what many Westerners don't understand. There's no equivalent of like neo-Nazi Azov battalion on Taiwan. I mean, there might
There
be
isn't
some
like people just
silly cosplayers, but there's like no serious kind of this hardcore nationalist element in Taiwan that would, chose violence. And this is because one of the reasons, people make a lot of Taiwan Ukraine comparison, but it's not really valid because Ukraine is poor. Ukraine has been poor since the collapse of Soviet Union. It was one of the worst former Soviet republics that had emerged. It's worse off than Russia, worse off than Belarus. But whereas Taiwan,
let's just put it in crass terms. The West turned Ukraine into a shithole after the Soviet Union collapsed.
yeah, thank you.
Taiwan is stagnant, but it's thanks to the developments of like the 80s and like in the infrastructure and all of that, it's easy to we can still get by. And realistically, at some point, we're going to see reunification in our lifetimes probably. And like after that happens, things are going to be pretty good over here. We have a lot of things going for us over here. It's just if Washington, D.C., Wall Street, and London would fuck off, that would be a lot better.
I completely agree. I think my cat also nods in agreement. He wanted to be part of this unification conversation.
Which is why I think it's so annoying just seeing all of these people talk about Taiwan, like especially now, like when tensions are rising and people are like okay, here's the thing, like Taiwan is not like she is not some sort of like hardcore separatist. She is an opportunist. And the problem is the hardline separatists don't like her. And of course, right now, she's like, the U.S. is trying to turn her into a Zelensky. But there's a lot more obstacles for her to becoming a Zelensky over here than there are in Ukraine for Zelensky becoming who he is today.
Yeah, I mean, everybody can see, Ukraine. Why would you want to be a Ukraine? Why would you want to be bombed into smithereen when currently the life on Taiwan is comfortable? I would say, yes, this economy is stagnant, but it's still like most people can still have like a middle class lifestyle, very, very comfortable. When you can play video games, why why do you want to play neo-Nazis? Right?
I mean, some people will like bring up that picture of that many years ago, like that one high school in Taiwan where like the kids like cosplayed as like Nazis. But if you think about it, yeah, I'm not saying that's good. It's pretty fucked up. But if you think about it, outside of the West, in Asia, like we're more focused. Like when we think of World War II, we're thinking more of like the Pacific theater. Like, and like the stuff that's happening out in the West, it's just like okay, there was like the Allies, and then there was the Axis powers, and Hitler was apparently this super bad guy. But then like you grow up in a society where like there aren't really Jewish people, so you're not like really taught too much about the Holocaust from like this perspective of like you don't go to like Holocaust museums and like hear Jewish people talking about their experiences. So it's further removed. Yeah, so exactly. It's like it's a bunch of stupid kids just saying, "Oh, like let's be controversial."
Yeah, they just thought the uniforms look cool. I mean, literally, that's just being stupid. Yeah.
I mean, the East Germans also thought the uniforms looked cool because the East German uniforms basically look the same, just with all with the insignia just changed to the communist stuff.
Yeah.
So you have people thinking, oh, East Germans are like the bad ones because their uniforms resemble the Nazi uniforms, and they also do the goose walk.
Well, except in West Germany, the actual Nazis are actually
yeah. Yeah. So it's like I wish people would like just like give it a rest. It's like they use that picture as like proof of saying people in Taiwan have like Nazi attitudes. It's like no, actually most people here are just like pretty liberal, and the separatists are very liberal. So like if you think about it, the people who are serving the imperialists, they're like the more like liberal minded, whereas like the people who are pro reunification are like more illiberal because a lot of them have like fond memories of like a time like when like Xiangyu was like leader. That was like the older generation, and like back then things weren't as liberal. Like they'll say things like, "Man, things in Taiwan were great." Like yeah, there was martial law, but look at what happened now after liberalization. You have this huge mess. Maybe like this wasn't the right idea. And like, hey, they're half right. There's a lot of truth to what they're saying.
Yeah, people should listen to our Taiwan history series because it really explains the dynamics in the politics in Taiwan and provides a historical perspective. So
Yeah. And there was one thing I noticed a lot in the military camp. So if you go online, like the activist circles in Taipei, they have this thing where they refuse to call like the mainland, and they will call it China instead. I mean, I guess Westerners won't understand it, but from a Taiwanese perspective, if you're in Taiwan and you call the mainland China, what you're implying is you are not in China and China is over there. It's a separate country. Whereas if you say the mainland, what you're implying is we're two parts of a whole, right? So a lot of the activist circles, they'll be like, "Oh, tomorrow I'm like my family is visiting China tomorrow," or something like that. Or if you disagree with the system over here so much, why don't you move to China? Like they'll say that sort of stuff. But I noticed a lot of the people, like I was saying, the majority of the people at the camp, because like they come from all sorts of walks of life, and most of them are probably not like in those activist circles. They'll just refer to it as Dalu, like the mainland. And now I'm sure a lot of them do think of like the two sides as like two separate countries or whatever, but it's like they'll still call it like Dalu. Which what does it tell us? It tells us that a lot of this stuff is like very malleable and very there's a lot of social engineering going on, because until like the 2010s, most people still called it Dalu, but then like in activist circles after that, people started calling like the mainland like just China instead. So something interesting I noticed.
I mean, a lot of the objection, the most common objection I heard from people in Taiwan about unification is like, "Oh no, then we won't be able to get on Facebook or Instagram," or like if that's your biggest concern, that means it's actually there's not that great of obstacle. I mean, like
yeah, really.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing with politics. When you are voting, or if your politics are informed by your heart, there's a lot of room for making these sorts of statements and being a little bit naive and more like utopian, and just thinking in these sorts of ways that make people who are struggling in their day-to-day life to like roll their eyes. But if things continue the way they are going right now, like we're being hollowed out by the U.S. and life gets harder. When people start engaging in politics, not with their hearts, but with their stomachs, then it's those statements like, "Oh, I'm worried about reunification because I can't go on Facebook," which is not even true. But I mean, Hong Kong's been returned to been handed over for how many years now? Like 20, almost 26 years, and they can still go on Facebook and YouTube. Even on the mainland, you can still go on if you just get VPN. I mean, if they really wanted to crack down, they could even get rid of that loophole. But yeah, I mean, at some point when people are thinking about people's livelihood and placing that at first, when that becomes the forefront of the discussion, and the mainland keeps on growing at the way it's growing now, then you're going to see the tides turning.
Yeah, I am of the same opinion, and a lot of the objection also before you used to hear about reunification with mainland is that they're so poor, we're doing so much, and that is actually starting to go away because people realize the quality of life has improved dramatically on mainland. So that's why now the main objection is like, "Oh no, we can't get on Facebook, and Instagram." So and that too, I think, will change in the future. So we'll see.
What if one day it'll be like, "No, we want reunification because we want to use TikTok again." Like if TikTok gets banned,
right? I mean, shit, 20 years in prison for using VPN. Like that's so ridiculous. Like this is a 20 years and $1 million in fine. How can people in US say with a serious face that China is some kind of tech authoritarian state when your own government has this kind of ridiculous over the top laws that severely restricting people's freedom. Like in China, you might have to go through some hoops to get a VPN service, but once you have VPN, there's almost zero consequences. You're definitely not going to go to jail for 20 years or fine $1 million.
Yeah. It's also interesting. I forgot to mention the person who so I'm 116, 115. He like slept on the bunk above mine. He actually grew up on the mainland. He grew up in Xiamen, and then he went to he attended university in Guangdong.
Oh wow! Was it because his parents were working in mainland at the time?
Yeah. So some Taiwanese kids who like grow up on the mainland attend schools for Taiwanese compatriots, so like their education is the same as the one over here. He went to like just the normal like local schools on the mainland. So when he writes, he wrote in all simplified characters.
Nice.
Yeah, except for his name, he would write his name in traditional characters,
Right.
but that's about it.
Right.
And yeah, we thought it was interesting, and like the way he talked, because I mean he grew up in Xiamen, and like Xiamen is like pretty close to Taiwan. The way they talk is like, well, the way our parents' generation talk is like identical, but then there's like some shifts between in the younger generations. But like we share a common root. Most people in Taiwan share like a common ancestry with people in Xiamen. So like his accent wasn't very obvious, but like there were some little things like his like with his tones like 阴阳顿挫比较明显. Like a little bit, and like some of the vocab he used.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, this is something people, especially in the West, they don't realize. There's like 2 million Taiwanese people studying and working on mainland. I mean, that's out of a population of 26 million. That's almost like 10% of the Taiwan population, and that's that's not an insignificant number. And people especially for those people who on a knee-jerk action, always say, if you love China so much, why don't you go there? Many people do. Many Taiwanese people do.
Oh, another thing I think I really want to mention is Chenggongling, the military base. I mean, the military in any country, the military has to be illiberal. You can't like enforce you can't discipline a military if liberalism runs rampant, right? So like it's weird because like it's one of the few places where like the era of like Chiang Kai-shek and Jiang Jingguo can kind of still be felt over there. Like you see the slogans that are still up there. There's still like fucking Chiang Kai-shek statue there, which is like they're not seen anywhere else in Taiwan because they all got removed and like put to his final resting place. It's like his statue graveyard because they, just like Khrushchev did desalinization when the DPP came to power in the 2000s. They did a de-Zhangazization.
Yeah.
But that stuff is still there, and like all the slogans are still like very obviously like from like the KMT era, which is really funny because like the main hall, it's like a theater. It's like where we had the induction ceremony and also like the completion, like the graduation ceremony. It's called Zhongzhengtang, so like Chiang Kai-shek Hall. But on the very back, because the current leader is Tsai Ing-wen, there's a portrait of Tsai Ing-wen. Like in her portrait, the front of the hall is the flag, the blue sky, white sun, red earth flag, with a portrait of Sun Yat-sen. So Tsai Ing-wen is looking at Sun Yat-sen in Chiang Kai-shek Hall, which is kind of I think it's funny. For those who don't know, the DPP came to power as liberal opposition to the KMT, which I think it says a lot because the DPP is a very liberal party, whereas the KMT, well, it's kind of forced to adapt to liberalism, but it comes from non-liberal roots, and because the military has to be illiberal, like the DPP is basically just like, oh fuck, we just have to just kind of basically keep it the way it is.
Yeah, all the top brass in Taiwan military are basically from like KMT background, right? Still, so
Yeah, it's like all the top brass like are like only like second or third generation Taiwanese,
yeah,
or like I guess before like up until the 80s they were like 80s and 90s they were like first generation.
yeah.
Like they arrived from the mainland, so it's pretty interesting
Yeah.
to say the least. It's
All right.
so yeah, it's
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up? My cat and my dog keep on interrupting me.
not much that I can think of, but if people listening have more questions
Oh yeah,
about
yeah.
this.
Send questions for Xiangyu, and because so I'm gonna have Xiangyu back once he complete more of his selective service. You know, after he finishes the firefighting training, being actually out in the wild. So I want him to invite him back to talk about that experience. So people think about what question you may have for Xiangyu, and oh, cat, and leave it in the comments below.
Yeah, questions like, hey, what's the food like during at the fire academy, or like what was the food like in the mess hall in the military base, or any other like between our conversations that we had today. Anything that comes to mind. Yeah, just ask and I'll address that in our next episode, and our next episode about my alternative service. And yeah, final thought. I think it's really funny how some deranged hate stalkers at first when I announced my return to Taiwan to fulfill my service, their initial reaction was, "Oh, you're voluntarily going back to Taiwan to serve as a GI Joe in a puppet army of the U.S. imperialists." And then it's when I specified that it's substitute service and how I'm actually not a military, they just kind of ignored that and just still kept running with that story. But then they noticed how like I came back to Taiwan, but I wasn't in the like serving right away. They started changing the story to saying, "Oh, he's just bullshitting. He doesn't have to serve. Like why is he going on like on so and so show to talk about politics when he's in the military? Like isn't that a violation of like military policy? This is the fastest. How did he become a spokesperson so quickly? This is like the fastest promotion I've ever seen. So he's a phony." So I hope. I'm thinking this episode for people who actually have some integrity will kind of see where the truth lies. But people who just want to continue smearing me because of personal vendettas, they're going to continue to say whatever they want. They can think whatever they want. But hey, firefighting is an essential service in any society. And I do truly believe that my service is in some way, shape, or form like giving back to the community over here. And I think as a citizen and a resident of the Taiwan province, I do owe it to society here to like give back somehow, right? And I think this is a good way. That's how I'm coping with the low pay, but yeah, so
well,
not a GI Joe, but I think
always
fire.
gonna hate. But thank you for making that clarification for the rest of us. So for us to gain a glimpse inside Taiwan society today, a very specific segment of Taiwan society. So I look forward to your return and enlighten us even more. You always have some good stories and good stuff for
These
us.
two hats, it's different. Military is under the command of the Department of Defense. Substitute military service is under the command of the Ministry of Interior.
Is that a fish?
Two separate.
Is that a fish?
No, it's a guy smiling it's a happy face.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Wearing a hat. It's so cartoony,
Yeah.
like the way like our alternative service stuffing. They just want the whole world to know, hey, we're not soldiers. You're a joke.
Got it.
So
Got it.
it's even on our uniform.
Okay.
Yeah, this is how you can tell like us, because like our uniforms look very similar to firefighter uniforms. This is how you tell.
Gotcha.
We also got a standard issue jacket for our firefighter uniform, but once we got there, they're like, don't wear it because it looks too similar to the firefighter jacket that they actually wear.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that was certainly very enlightening, and I look forward to have you come back to the show.
I get a new laptop tomorrow, so I'm gonna probably begin editing this and our other episode with Zoe really soon because I get quite a few hours every day to do whatever I want.
Yeah, all right. So and we, if this show comes out first, and know that we have another episode with Xiangyu and his friend Zoe, who is actually a British woman who was a tour guide for North Korea. So very, very unique experience. Make sure to look forward to that.
She's actually going to the mainland tomorrow for a week. And I don't know what she's doing, but she says she's visiting Dandong and Shenyang in addition to Beijing. So I suspect it's North Korea related.
Okay. Well, because now that China is opening again after the zero COVID policy is over, so hopefully North Korea is next, and then more connectivity, right? More connectivity all across the globe. That's what we want. And
yes.
Thank you, Xiangyu, for making this guest appearance once again. And thanks
Very
to
happy to be
everyone
back.
who tuned in. And please leave a comment, leave a question for Xiangyu below. So I'll make sure they get to Xiangyu next time before he comes to the show.
And to end this episode, 소식! 谢谢扎克家。以上。even when I'm walking, I still hear in my head, 部队前进 or 左转弯走 or 踏步立定 boom boom.
Okay, on that note, signing off.
向起飞，
爱心征服一切，
征服一切，用牺牲向我服务的精神打造新世界。
期待一青年们，责任大于一切，
用勇敢坚强纪律的队伍打造世界，打造全新世界，打造